And so this epic task of breaking down the top 25 NBA players based upon the ESPN ranking list last year um, comes to an epic conclusion. Yeah, with our top five here, one through to five, and I know the names on your list, and at the end of the day, somehow you've got Tatum and you've got Booker in this top five list, alongside three MVPs. I guess that's the reality, right? And I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna be shocked how high. Surely you got Book at five. Yeah, you wanted me to pick here, all right? So I don't know. Book, Tatum, Embiid, Giannis, Jokic. Yeah, give it to me. If you're not starting with Booker here, then something bias.
I think, I think, all right. So at number five, we have the person who's come up short pretty much every season since they've been in the league at this point. I got Jason Tatum at number five. I'm sorry. I um I think there's a bit of a limited bag offensively there. I think, hey, do you want to watch me pull a sidestep three or, basically just a one move over and over again? Tatum has kind of proven that he can be 19 forever, but ultimately he's getting up there in years and he needs to start doing something. He's still top five. I think you need to calm down on my whole like, oh, where I put people. I don't know. I'm getting weird vibes off you. Top five, Tatum's top five because he's young, he's generational talent. He's got a leap to make before he can get over there, but that's where it is. Devin Booker comes in at number four. Okay. I think what we witnessed, I think what we witnessed in the playoffs is the beginning of something. I think his next season is his breakout season, which is preposterous to say when he's been continually getting better and having offensive seasons for the ages. He is going to be the focal point of what Phoenix is doing. Beal and Durant have come to join Booker. I think it's going to be Booker's year. I think it's going to be a big year for Phoenix. It's going to be a big year for Booker. That's where I'm going with him. At three, I have Joel Embiid. All right. So he is, I guess, moving up one from four to three. But Joel Embiid, previous MVP, had his best season under Doc Rivers. I feel like with the power of Nick Nurse coaching, he's going to also have a very productive season. The biggest asterisk for Joel Embiid, he is the injury case where the talent is MVP and the injury concern is he doesn't play at all. So, we pray for good health because he is, a generational center. And hopefully we get to see as much Joel Embiid as possible next season. At number two, I have Giannis. He has been dethroned from his number one position. Giannis is at a crossroads. I don't know how you feel about Giannis's career right now, but he's got his one championship, and now it's about can he get a couple more, and that pressure's remounting. So I think once he got it, the pressure mounted off, and they had a down year uh, with Chris Middleton being really injured. And that narrative now hasn't changed, but the difference is, well, does Giannis stay? Does Giannis go? And the Bucks are reloading and coming back with the team that they have, and they're a good team. Maybe without the Giannis injury, Miami never has that run, and Jimmy Butler never cracks my top 10. I'm not too sure. But Giannis has an important year ahead of him, and I still think he's going to be the second best player in the league. I feel like the whole conversation around if he gets a jump shot probably needs to be put to bed at this point. Some people mechanically just can't shoot. There is some level of talent there, regardless of how much you practice. I don't think he's going to turn into an 80% or 90% free throw shooter, and he's not going to be nailing 40% of threes. So we kind of know what he is at this point, and he's going to be dominant. And then at number one, coming off this man wakes up and just decides a random ESPN Wilt Chamberlain stat to break per day. And this is Nikola Jokic. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. And now Denver has a championship, I guess, culture embedded into them. So, I think everyone's going to understand the pecking order a little bit better. And anyone who comes in as a role player on a vet minimum or a rookie contract or whatever it is going to be trying their very best to be their best around Nikola Jokic because they're probably looking at Bruce Brown saying, "Holy moly, if I just like play fundamental basketball and do exactly what I need to do and utilize my strength, and Nikola Jokic finds me, I'll get a 20 million a year contract." So I think he's going to have another incredible season. I think he's going to continue to build that legacy, and because that Nuggets core is relatively the same, I know there's been a lot of rhetoric around, oh, they didn't do anything this offseason, so now we need to be worried about him. Change is as good as a holiday. And so everyone else's narrative has been revamped. Phoenix has done so much that, oh, they're going to be interesting. Are they going to be a championship contender? I'm not going to buy into that hype as much because the Nuggets are the current champions and they're coming back as the current champions. They could do a couple of little moves here, but if their core can stay healthy, if Jamal Murray continues to resurge from his ACL reco, if Aaron Gordon has now found his role and his niche, and Michael Porter Jr. keeps his up and down nature or even becomes a little bit more consistent, the Nuggets are still the favorites and Jokic is still coming in at number one. Off you go.
Number 5, I have Steph Curry. You had Steph Curry at number 8. Feels like a big drop for a guy that's just averaged 4 more points despite being 35 years old. Okay, and you could say that's a knock against him. He's getting up there in age, all right, but he's averaged 4 more points a game, shot just under 50%, literally nearly had a barring short of 0.7 of another 50, 40, 90 year, okay, at age 35. And look, it's another story whether the Warriors have another championship in them or not. They did re-sign Draymond. The core's still there. They're all older. That's a whole nother conversation. All right. But Steph Curry, not in the top 5 right now, considering the season that he had. I think that's crazy. I've got him at number 5. Number 4, I have Luka Doncic. Um, Again, I don't know, man. You had him at 6. Okay. Look, I guess the only knock you can give Luka is that they didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. Okay. And if they made the playoffs, and even if they lost the first round, yeah, it's a whole nother story. Okay. So you could make a conversation of why they didn't make the playoffs, so many reasons. Mavs just didn't. And something we spoke about throughout the season, they didn't surround him with enough pieces. We said that all along the ways. And then they brought in Kyrie, and it's just not even the right piece. Okay, you just bring in another high-scoring point guard, alpha point guard to put next to your high-scoring alpha point guard. What the hell? Like, does anyone know anything about basketball in Dallas? Okay, but this kid here just averaged 32 points a game, 9 rebounds, literally 8 assists. All right, he's top 5. I don't know. There's no other way to frame this, man. I don't know. You got him at 6. I've got him at 4. He's still a top 5 talent there. Number 4 on my list. Number 3, I have Joel Embiid, the MVP from last year. Look, I don't know. Again, Joel Embiid has, I don't know. He's a bit of it's an interesting case, right? The talent is there, but is the attitude correct for him to be a champion? That's probably the part where, if you go and think about Joel Embiid and where his career has now taken him, yeah, he's gone from the process to missing his first year to obviously becoming an all-star, superstar, MVP. And then this year they got knocked out, and then he had a whinge about, I don't have the right pieces around me. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. That's the thing. And it almost reminds me of, I'm not going to compare his game, but it's like the lack of maturity, say, other bigs like, say, Shaq had in his prime when he was young, and Dwight Howard, and obviously these are two Magic players I'm very familiar with, okay, had in his prime, that Joel Embiid doesn't seem to, like, he takes it seriously, but not the level that's needed to win a championship. Okay, but the individual talent is there. I've got him number 3, just like you. Number 2, we're in agreement. Giannis has slipped down now to number 1, probably simply because he's gone, against the modern era Wilt Chamberlain, like you reference in that sort of sense. Giannis's numbers are continually eye-popping. I think that's Giannis has fallen into the boat like LeBron, right? We're just like conditioned to his greatness, right? He scores 30, pulls down 15 boards, blocks a few shots, and hands out a few assists and does everything in the game, and they win. And you go, man, that's what Giannis does, right? I think that's the thing. I think you referenced a good point too, that his game is probably refined to what it's going to be. All right, we're not expecting him to suddenly now average 40 points a game. We're probably not also going to expect him to average 8 assists a game either. He's never going to be that sort of triple-double threat. Yeah, he'll be a double-double threat and maybe give you 4 or 5 assists on a good night in that sort of sense, okay? I think that's the reality for him. And he's, like you said, he's not a great shooter at the free throw line, doesn't really shoot much at the perimeter. And that probably limits him, especially now in today's era where all these other players can stroke it from downtown. That Giannis at the moment is obviously number 2 in the league. And which obviously leaves us with the number 1, Nikola Jokic, NBA champion, 2-time NBA MVP, number 1, greatest player in the world. Dude doesn't even jump off the floor, right? It's a great achievement, yeah. It's I don't know. Like, I think if I'm going to make a prediction here, and I don't know what you think about this, like, I think this guy's going to win at least another MVP. Yeah, I'd say he's going to win another MVP. You know, he had like arguably another great year. He could have won 3 in a row, but then you know the narrative was so crazy that how can you give this guy an MVP 3 in a row when he hasn't even sort of gone to the finals yet? Well, guess what? He went to the finals. He won their finals MVP. He got the ring. Next year puts up the same numbers. I think he could win a third MVP. Could even win 4. I don't know. Okay, but right now, Curly, Jokic, top player in the league. I think at least we're agreement in the top 3 there. Look at that. We know something about basketball. Hey, crazy, yeah.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know. It depends. I'm sure. Cat Killer 72 will disagree or some random
So,
name like
so,
that.
I have plenty of comments about your top 5, but
Sure.
I'm going to hand the floor to you. What do you think? Yeah, you saying Curry and Doncic are too high? Like, you know, clearly you think they're too high.
I just think my blood pressure doesn't need to get so worked up over like a 3 point difference, right? So I think, look, the way that I think about this list, top 5, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, Booker, and Tatum, I would be relatively confident to say conference semifinalists easy, right? And then conference finalists, 4 out of 5, right? Just based off the fact that 3 are in the East, that someone has to get knocked out. But all of those players are conference finalists. Now, I understand that Doncic has been there. I understand that Curry's been there. I don't see it next season. I don't see it happening. I don't like that Kyrie Irving pairing at all. Luka is a top 5 talent. It's not going to win anything. That man could average 35, 10, and 10, and they won't win.
Well,
He
you
is
just
in a
said it.
very
You just
similar
said he's a top 5
situation
talent, but you put him at number 6.
because he's not going to be. I'm not picking him over Booker and Tatum right now, okay? Because they have proven, they have both been to the finals respectively, irrelevant if they came up short, and they're both now going to be regularly competitive in the conference finals landscape. Now, maybe it's not Luka's fault because he has a team that needs to be built, but Luka also has to figure something out. He has a usage rate issue. He used James Harden from Houston. That is essentially who he is as a player. Anyone is going to be a phenomenal statistician if you get the ball that much and you have that level of talent. The problem is they're not going to win, right? And yes, he missed the playoffs, and yes, they decided to tank and yada yada. But it's not like Dallas was competitive before the Kyrie trade. The Kyrie trade just tipped them off the edge from being able to make it, but they were still on the hunt to try to be in the top 6, right?
I,
So
I
they
take a
weren't
I
locked
take
in.
offense that you're referencing Luka Doncic currently to James Harden in Houston. I would like to feel more optimistic that Luka Doncic is more like Michael Jordan at the Chicago Bulls before Scottie Pippen arrived.
Okay. Well, it's Kyrie Irving, the Scottie Pippen
Oh,
that
clearly not. He's
he needed.
not. Clearly,
No,
Kyrie
it's not
Irving
going to
is
happen
not
next
Scottie
year. It's not
Pippen.
going to happen. He's going to have great stats as per normal, top 5, top 6 MVP votes. The thing is, I've put him at number 6. I'm not putting him over Tatum or Booker because I feel like both of those players are going to have a more successful season moving forward. And then Curry, I agree with you. Great statistical season. His supporting cast is worse. I'm sorry, the Chris Paul edition is not going to tip their favor. Jordan Poole's probably addition by subtraction, but they aren't going to be. I don't think they'll have the run that they did beforehand,
We're not
right? And you
ranking the
felt like,
Warriors. We're not ranking the Warriors. We're talking about Steph Curry specifically. Steph Curry.
yeah, and Steph Curry is going to have a top 10 season, and I felt like he's going to be at least 8th. It's not going to yield anything. All right. I understand that the way that we frame this is slightly different, right? What you did is who was the most talented player in the league. Like most things that I do in my life, I deviated from the instructions a little bit. That's how I feel passionate about.
Okay, so so
Okay.
uh, so I feel like that's your defense here. You deviated from the instructions a little bit. How about the facts? Did you deviate from the facts a little bit here? Let me give you a few facts. Jason Tatum, 30 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Against Devin Booker, 28 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Who has the superior stats? Clearly, Tatum. Which team went further in the playoffs? Refresh my memory. Come on. Which team went further in the playoffs? I believe the Celtics went further, right? But somehow, now you might say, oh, supporting cast, right? So the Booker had KD, next to him, and Tatum had Jaylen Brown, right? And somehow you still had Booker ahead of Tatum. So let me ask you, how much Suns bias is there here?
There might be a little bit of Suns bias.
So that's the part of, I gave you a chance at the start of this whole recording that surely if you've got Book in the top 5, he has to be 5. But nah, you had Tatum at 5, Book at 4. There's nothing here that you can say that justifies why you got Book over Tatum right now. Okay, right now. There just is not.
I think he's gonna have an incredible year. I think he's gonna have an incredible year. I really liked what I saw in that Denver series. That Denver series gave me hope. For 2 weeks, I thought maybe this is it. Oh my God, it could happen. And I think he's gonna have a breakout season.
Yeah, you just said that. I actually want to allude back to that. You said that before. You think Booker is going to have a breakout season. You got him at 4th best player in the league for this upcoming season. You think he's going to have a breakout season despite a full season of KD, hopefully fairly healthy, and despite a full season of Bradley Beal bringing his skill set across and hopefully fairly healthy. You think he's going to increase his stats? Like, what? It just makes no sense. He's currently at 28, 5 and 5. I would think it would be realistic to say he might score 24 points a game, maybe 5 rebounds still, and maybe up his assist a little bit without CP3 there to 7 to 8. Okay, but that's not a career year. I don't know. How do you see this happening? You've just added all this talent that somewhat replicates or duplicates what Booker does best already. Yeah, we've always spoken about the Suns are going to go out there and just try and outshoot teams in that sort of sense. You've got all this firepower, right? But somehow you think Book is going to shine in that? I don't know. Just again, that blows my mind, man. Doesn't make any sense.
I think the efficiency, right? I think we're going to see a statistic of like he's going to be the first player to have 25 points and 55% field goal percentage. He's going to get very good looks. He's a tough shot maker. He's going to have a high clip. And you're right about the assist making. He's going to have a higher level of playmaking that bumps up his assist averages. And what he's going to do, whether or not, let's say he has 28, 6 and 7, or 6 and 8, or 7 and 7. Those are LeBron stats that won him MVPs, right? And we would assume that Phoenix should be a top 3 team in the West. He is going to be an integral part of them being successful. And he is the youngest of the trio, and the other 2 have come to join him. It is his team. He's going to have that breakout year. And the issue for Tatum, the reason why I'm sorry I can't bump him over Booker is we've seen enough. It's the same with Harden. It's the reason why Harden's 25. He's washed talent-wise, and he's not going to do anything different at this point. Tatum is still top 10, top 5 talent for me, but he's a little bit washed at this point. He's got to break the narrative. That man is going to be the most winningest loser of all time at this point.
I got to come back to that point. So could you apply everything you just said then against Tatum and insert Booker's name? Because Book falls in exactly the same category. Like what more
Book needs more time.
What more? What he's like? His Booker is actually older than Tatum.
Yeah, career-wise, Booker was cellar dwelling on the Suns when they were awful. This is the reform. They had the reform 2 years ago when they made the finals, and now they've been a competitive team. So he's only been in the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons. Tatum's been there since he started, basically. They've had enough time. It hasn't happened for Boston. And they're in a weaker conference, right? They're in a weaker conference, and a lot of the previous champions have actually come from the Western Conference. Booker is in a competitive situation.
So basically what you're saying is that the Celtics are a better organization than the Suns to pull talent around players, right? Isn't that what we're saying? You guys could have drafted Doncic, only the 6th best player in the league, but you went for Aiden, who doesn't seem to be in our top 25 list at all. Should we wrap it up there?
I think maybe that's a take for another week about how different everything would be with Luka on the team. Imagine Luka, KD, Beal, and Booker. Wow, ridiculous.
It's over. It's over, right?
It's over.
This is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz. This is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.